What's up, Sassy Gamers? It's nice to here. We're actually at Southern Fried Gaming Expo, and we're here for another SASS interviews. I'm actually here today with Amy Stout, who's from Futurist. Futurist, also Amebous Labs.
Yes.
So welcome, Amy. Thanks for hanging out with us today and actually talking to you. Have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Futurist.
Yeah, absolutely. So Futurist is our parent company, and we do virtual and augmented reality development for businesses. So we've been around for about 8 years now.
Oh, wow.
And we've just grown our portfolio of clients and in turn grown our company. And then around 2 years ago, we opened up our game studio, Amebous Labs. So that is for VR and AR gaming that goes out to consumers. So it's all games that we decide to make and that we want to make. And it's been a great creative outlet for all of us to put out our passion projects.
Well, that's awesome. So you said 8 years ago. That's pretty long for like the virtual reality space or even the AR space. So you guys kind of got in on that on the beginning, right? Like I'm sure there was a lot to like start with when you first started, like, you know, very little projects that were kind of probably didn't make any sense at the time. You're kind of just doing things to the point now where you said like 2 years ago you opened up a game studio and you work on a game that we'll talk about here soon. But that's really cool. So I noticed the website, it said that there was, you guys do AR, you do VR. There's also, you guys do consulting work. You have the game development part as well. And I know you guys work with some clients that basically use your VR services for like walkthroughs and different things like that. Is there anything else you want to add to that, or is that pretty much it?
Like you said, 8 years is a long time to be in the VR space. And when we first started, it was a lot of educating people. It was telling them what the technology does, what it can do in the future so that they can be prepared and figure out ways that they can implement it into their company and organization. So over the past few years, we've seen a lot of people adapt it for training, marketing, product visualization, those sorts of use cases. So we've been very fortunate that the people who we talked to years and years ago, now they're ready to start building something. They're coming to us and asking us, hey, we want to start. How can we start working together?
And like you said, I mean, 8 years ago, you said it started off in like dev kits and things. And like, I know back in those days, like it was literally a computer, a bunch of wires plugged in. It wasn't very mobile. Like, how did you guys get around that? Like,
yeah, so that is a huge barrier to entry for a lot of people because it's expensive and you couldn't really transport it places. So there were very specific use cases, and it was mostly for use in offices and at events where you were set up for a longer period of time. But about 3 years ago, the Oculus Quest headset came out, and that's been a game changer for us. Absolutely. I think the latest numbers say there's about 12 million units sold worldwide. So there's a lot of people who can now afford it, and they're getting into it for their own personal use, and then we can also use it for businesses as well. And then there's also a bunch of other headsets that are coming out as competitors to Quest. So we're seeing that mobile VR stepping up another level and being there's just higher fidelity in the graphics, more processing power, so that you can actually experience a 6 degrees of freedom headset where you can walk around.
Right, yeah, and that's I remember using the Vive pretty much like when people started getting them, and having the space to move around in a room. Like not only just putting the headset on and like having controls, but actually physically moving around a room in your box to like find things in an experience was really neat.
Yeah.
Also funny because like, so in the sense of going forward, like Meta now has decided that you don't even have to have a Facebook account to that. So now you're bringing in even more people who are maybe more worried about their privacy and tying that in to actually be able to have an account and potentially buy a new device. So that's really neat. So let's actually jump into your game, the game that Amebous has actually released, Amebous Labs. It's called Loam.
Yes.
And it's a VR game. And the one thing that drew it to me, which is funny because I'm all about like games that do building, games that have like crafting or any sort of like gardening. Stardew Valley obviously is a big one. And I noticed that your game is literally a open world, like, or not open world, a sandbox style like gardening game. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our game is called Loam Sandbox, and it's out now for Meta Quest headsets. I sometimes say Oculus Quest. They are the same thing, but for Meta Quest headsets, and it's out on App Lab right now. So people can go and download it. It's free as of this weekend. So we've officially finished this portion of our game, the sandbox version of it. So we put all of the features that we wanted to get into this version out. So we decided, hey, let's make it free so that people can enjoy it and give us feedback so that we can then take it and move it to the next level, whatever that may be. So what we have in our mind, we want to make sure aligns with our players. So player feedback is really important for us. So like you said, it is a VR gardening and decorating simulation. So you go into an empty plot of land in this land of loam, which means fertile soil.
Okay.
For people who are not into gardening, that's what loam means. That's where we got the name.
I guess I'll take it.
Yes,
that's cool. Yeah.
It's a type of soil. Yeah. It's very good for growing plants, so we took inspiration from that to name the game. But you're starting with an empty plot, and then you plant plants, you pick the crops, and then you get money, and you slowly are able to afford more decorations, and you can express some of your creativity through the game, which I love.
That's really cool. And I like you said simulation, because that is the key word that we need to kind of hone in on, because a game is not really the way to experience, like to me, to explain what VR is, right? Because the VR is more about the experience. Like you literally, it's a simulation. You put it on and you really feel like you're there. I mean, obviously with haptic and everything that eventually will come out, that's not really available for everybody yet, but it is an experience. It's a simulation, and the fact that you can just kind of, I mean, it sounds almost therapeutic, right? Like if you don't necessarily want to go outside and garden or not very good at it, maybe you're not able to, this will give you that ability to do that and experience that. Because I don't believe this is a walking around game, right? Like you can actually teleport.
So you can do it both ways. So you can teleport and you could also walk around. So we, as a company, are very passionate about accessibility in gaming, and one of the things that we wanted to see in a game was the ability to go in and relax and have a nice relaxing experience that doesn't move you around, because when a experience moves you and you don't say, yes, I want to move, you get some of that disconnect and you get motion sick. So the screen, what you're seeing around you is moving past you. If you're not controlling that, sometimes that can give you that motion sickness feeling, and a lot of us at our company are sensitive to that. So
no, that's a great point.
We are great for testing, because I'm like, if I get sick, we know
Someone
it's
else
no
is definitely
good.
gonna get sick.
Exactly. So we're passionate about making it accessible for people as well, so people can sit in a chair and play it, or you can stand up and play it. We test it both ways, because honestly, like, standing up and testing for 2 hours is just not for me. I need to sit down. So we test it both ways in order to make sure that it's comfortable for people.
Makes sense. So I know there's an accessory, I guess, that you could use, and there's like gnomes in the game. What's the deal with the gnomes? I heard there's like a story with that.
Yes. So the gnomes were, I don't know where they came from. I guess because there's
they just showed up one day.
Loam, gnome. It rhymes. We're very into rhyming at our company, play on words. So we decided to have gnomes because you have gnomes in gardens. So we're like, those are adorable little creatures. So we have a bunch of gnomes that you can buy. And the plan is, once we expand this game even further, to have more gnomes. So with each new pack comes a new gnome. So we had a space pack, and we now have an astronaut gnome named Astro Gnome. So.
Astro Gnome.
Yes, I have a huge spreadsheet already started with names of different gnomes.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah exactly. So yes, that's where the gnomes came from, and then we just started, adding on to it, and we just added in a tutorial gnome, and he's like your little guide gnome. So he greets you when you first come in the game, and his name is Dirk, and it's actually based off of our lawyer. For whatever reason, when we were designing this gnome, we were thinking of his face.
Oh, wow.
So
did you tell him this already? Because if not, he's gonna know.
Absolutely, yes. And not like he looks like a gnome, but we took inspiration from some of his features because he is the type of person that we wanted to take his personality and put it into this gnome, because we're like, we want someone who's friendly and knowledgeable and will make you feel like you're at home and just totally welcome. And that's what he does, in real life, the real life Dirk. So we're like, hey, let's let's make a gnome emulated after him. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
So what expansion are the gnomes going to become like evil and this is a horror game?
So we've talked about that actually. We all have to have all of these scenarios.
Right.
So we used to do, most of development was done during the pandemic, so it was all remote.
Absolutely.
For at least the first year and a half or so before we started kind of going back into the office every once in a while. So we had to touch base quite a bit just so that we were all on the same page, because planning out a game is a long process.
Doing anything remote it can be done. And obviously, and I'm for it, but it's definitely a challenge, especially a challenge we haven't really seen before until obviously the pandemic. So, and then especially in game design, I couldn't imagine I've read some stories from other developers and it's like the same thing. It's like it's very challenging.
Right. So we ended up having meetings at the end of each day, and they were only supposed to be like an hour long. Of course, they run over to like 3 hours, and eventually we're like, all right, well, we have to go eat dinner now, and we'd have to cut it off then. But as you can imagine, there were a lot of goofy conversations because we're all like a little delirious by the end of the day. So we had the conversation of like, what if we make this into a horror game and release it for Halloween?
Well, it's like it starts at 4 o'clock, but 5 o'clock starts happy hour, so you have a happy hour, then and all these ideas come up. So.
Yeah, we thought that if you had your back turned to a gnome, it would slowly start creeping up on you, and then it would just be like,
There was
surprise!
An old Goosebumps book that I read as a kid that was about the gnomes.
Yeah.
And it was like, it freaked me out. It was one of the ones that just really, so I don't know if this would be my type of game. Even if it is like a sandbox, like totally normal, everything's fine, I'd be creeped out just thinking that they're looking at me. So.
They do help clean up, so part of the storyline is they'll clean up your garden a little bit if you leave some bubbled items out. They don't.
Hey, start them off real friendly, it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. They're helpful. Until they're not.
Until they're not. No. Obviously that could be an expansion in the future. Right now it's not. This is a very friendly, very what do you call it, relaxing style type of game or experience, simulation is what it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've taken this game to Southern Fried. This is now our second year, and last year was our first event that we were able to do in person. So we got a ton of awesome feedback from people who came by and talked to us about the game. And one of the things was parents would come by and they're like, this is a game that I would want my kids to play.
Yeah.
Because it's educational in some ways. So we try not to push the education part too much, but all of our plants and critters have information about them that was checked by a scientist. So
wow, cool.
A lot of the stuff is factual, so you can collect critters or track them to your garden, and they are attracted based on what they're attracted to in real life. So for instance, if you plant strawberries, you're going to attract the chicken because they like strawberries. Yeah.
So like carrots would be like rabbits or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Cool. Or like Minecraft would be like what carrots are for pigs, I guess. Like apples for horses. But no, that's a good point. Being a father and having a kid, and obviously he's not even at the age of playing video games yet. Hopefully, one day. I'm thinking now out loud too. Like, what am I going to let him, play? Because obviously, old school games, I'm okay with that, like Nintendo and things like that. But that's not what he's going to want to play. He's going to want to play whatever's out now. And having a game or set of games that I can say are good and friendly is a super helpful thing, because I don't want to have to, because he's going to want to do it. And I know there's games that I definitely don't want him playing at a certain age. Obviously later, fine. Because I played a lot of stuff when I was growing up like that I probably should never be playing, but at that time nobody knew, it was just a game.
Yeah.
Or even that was a game. They don't even know what that means. Like, it was just a thing. But it's so it'd be good to have another game like that. Because I was saying Minecraft, and it's one of those, like, it's like a Lego game, right? It's like you build, and it's very like there's a story sort of you can kind of go through, but it's not really explained to you. It's kind of you just experience your own thing. So. Right.
Yes, and we've been aware of the fact that children can play our game, and VR headsets are not marketed towards children under 13.
Right.
But if a parent puts their kid under 13 in a headset, that's on them. But what we're trying to do is also have multiple layers of communication with the player. So for instance, we have subtitles, and we also have voiceover. And then
cool.
we have icons with every single like action that you can do in the game. So you don't need to read, because there are some people who cannot read, or reading in VR is difficult because of how close it is.
Right, and you're moving, and I could see that being.
And the other great thing is we have a loyal fan who's in Canada, and she speaks French. She speaks some English, but it's not her first language. So for her, being able to see those icons helped her get through the game. And she said, sometimes I don't even read, what it says. All these icons help me so that I know what to do next.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a great point. Accessibility is huge. And it's funny, a lot of companies are now starting to kind of focus on that. Whereas before it really wasn't. Like, to get a game that had colorblind mode, that would be like super impressive.
Yes.
And now it's like, I can't remember what game it was, but we went through the menu and it was like, there was multiple pages of accessibility. Like, like it was just insane. So that's really cool that like people are starting to embrace that. And yeah, so I wanted to talk about a little bit about XR Atlanta. So I know that you are part of the subgroup, which is called Women in XR. And tell me a little bit about XR Atlanta, and I guess tell me a little bit about Women in XR.
Yeah, so XR Atlanta was an organization started by our CEO, Annie Eaton, 8 years ago. So it was actually right before the inception of the company. She started this group, and it was a way to get people who are interested in the VR, AR community in Atlanta out in one place so that people could talk.
Okay.
And they posted out the first event on Reddit, and it was a wild success. Hundreds of people came. They had to kind of turn people away. I want to say it was at the Battle and Brew in Sandy Springs.
Oh, wow, okay.
It can only hold so many people,
right.
So there's a line, and there were only a few headsets that they were bringing at that event at that time, because of, the lack of headsets at that time.
It was literally like a thing. Like, it was a whole station you had to set up,
Exactly,
right?
yes. So they started that group, and it continued to grow, and we're at about 1,300 members now. Of course, not all 1,300 come to every meetup, but we have meetups about once a month, sometimes quarterly, and it's just different topics. So it could be on gaming, it could be on XR for sales, XR for business, any sort of topic that the community is interested in. We'll try to put something together for it. So we have an XR Atlanta art showcase that happens once a year. So we'll have some of the volunteers organize an event so that they can show XR art in various forms.
Not NFTs, but like actual art.
Actual art, yes.
Because it's virtual. Technically it's an NFT.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's been a lot of people who do tilt brush pieces. If you're familiar with tilt brush, it's painting in VR.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's a very popular platform, and some of the artists have amazing stuff. So our art director did a year in tilt brush, and she did paintings every month in tilt brush, and submitted it to this organization that then shared it with people.
Oh, wow, cool.
But she got so good at it, and actually the header on our Futures website was created in tilt brush.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I saw that.
Phoenix.
Yeah, because I think I did actually experience the simulation, right? But I think it was because it's like 3D, right? You can paint, but it's also in a 3D spectrum, so like, because you can kind of move around it, and it's not just a painting, right?
Correct. Yes, it's painting in 3 dimension instead of 2 dimension.
Right.
So it's
was
a
really
different
cool.
mindset.
Definitely not for me.
Yeah.
Not like that, but no, it was cool.
I draw smiley faces and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm not doing anything more fantastic than that. So I know you guys do like workshop, like you're saying. There's like you guys hold like meetings and things. Let's talk about Women in XR though. So what is that?
Yeah, so Women in XR was started in 2017. So there were a group of us women who were talking anyways. So we're part of this XR Atlanta group, and we're like, hey, we should get together and share resources, because weren't a lot of women in the industry in Atlanta at the time, and we wanted just a time to catch up and talk about some of the challenges that we're facing in the industry and at work. And we're like, we need to do it in a safe space. So we decided that we were going to do monthly meetups. The first Friday of every month, we'd meet for coffee, and we'd sit and we'd talk about anything that was on our mind for the past month related to work or XR, like what sort of resources and support you need. They've been a great organization, a group of women really to help with challenges that we have at work. So whether that be with a male colleague or whether it be with a client, because a lot of us face troubles when we're talking to clients. So if you and I were, going into a meeting together, we're both from the same company, we go into this meeting, we're talking to the clients, a lot of times they'll direct question at our male colleagues. Okay. And they may not be the appropriate person to ask.
You're like, that's not even the person.
Right. And Annie faced this a lot when she was first starting, because she would bring her co-founder, Peter, to these meetings, and people would automatically turn to Peter, not look at Annie at all, and ask him a question. He's like, you got to talk to the boss over there.
Right, yeah.
And he was amazing at being able to direct their attention back at Annie. And he's like, actually, she can answer that for you. And that was really important for us as a company and for Annie to have someone who supported her and supported us in what we're trying to do. So all that to say, yes, there's a lot of instances where women get overlooked in meetings, and we were trying to come up with ways to help each other and share tactics about how you get people to pay attention to you when you're the one who's the most knowledgeable in the room, or the expert on that topic. It's being able to show that we deserve a place here.
Right.
So that's kind of how XR, or Women in XR Atlanta, came to be, and it's just grown since. We have usually about 10 to 15 people come to each of the meetings on the first Friday of every month. And
cool.
It's very therapeutic. And yes, I said, we share resources as well. So if someone has a speaking engagement, or they want to get connected with someone, or they need, to get some hardware, we'll all share resources so that everyone can succeed.
Makes sense. Yeah, and that's a good point, and I love that you guys are doing that, because it is an issue, right? And it's not just in your space; it's in gaming, in actual, even in the regular workforce. Like it's always been a thing, and it comes from the mindset of where we used to be, and now going forward, it's a lot different, and some people still don't kind of get that. So, and I'm glad that you guys do have that. That's really good, and it's one of those things that it's needed, and I'm glad that you're the person that's kind of like heading that on. Actually, one of the questions I had for you is, so was there a pivotal moment that inspired you to say, all right, I want to help out young women in technology and in this XR field? Was there a moment for that?
Yeah, so when I first started at Futurist, I knew that I wanted to help out young girls and young women because I know how difficult it is. Right. And there's been a lot of progress that's been made, but it's still hard to get into, especially a tech industry, high-tech industry, forget about it. It's for a lot of young girls, it's not even an idea in their mind. Right. So being able to see women in this industry is important for those young girls, so that they can be like, oh, I can be a part of this. And I don't have to be a developer. I could be an artist. I could do the business side of it. There are so many different facets to the XR industry that even if you aren't a super coder or anything, you can get into this industry and succeed. So we just wanted to be an inspiration, I guess, because you need to be able to see in order to become. So
yeah. So was there a point that made you want to do the mentoring? And I guess how long have you been, is it mentoring since when you started this, I guess 2 years ago, or have you done mentoring before that? Or
yeah, so I started doing more of the mentoring when I joined Futurist, and it was simply because I didn't really have any groups or organizations that were putting something like that together in my previous positions. And it was a good opportunity, and I just took it. And I think it helps to be connected with other women who are doing something similar, because then you can be like, hey, do you want to join me? And then all of a sudden that group grows and grows, and you have the amount of people that you need to make a bigger impact. So we put on a lot of workshops for young girls, specifically through a couple of different organizations. So WIT, which is Women in Technology, they have a chapter here in Atlanta, and we're very involved with them. So we'll put on workshops for them every once in a while, just to get the young girls exposed to the technology, bring headsets to them, let them play around, and you'd be amazed at how talented these people are. They have the imagination for days, and a lot of them do code, and they go to coding camp, and they'll do it during class time as well, which is amazing to see because
Yeah.
when I was young, I didn't get that opportunity.
Yeah,
so.
and obviously it wasn't there, but there was other things you could do, but just, giving that exposure. So it's really cool. So awesome, thanks for telling me about that. So we have 5 questions that we ask like all of our guests, right? And we have to. It's great. These are great questions. I love breaking the ice on these, right? So the the first question is, so what's your favorite animated character? And it can be either from a movie, a cartoon, a TV show, comic, whatever. Who would that be?
Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers.
Okay, why is that?
I love her. I think that she is a great role model. She's also hilarious, and I think she's down to earth. So she's one of those people. I don't know. Do you watch Bob's Burgers?
I don't. I've seen a few episodes, but it's funny because like I grew up. My dad's name was Bob, and we had a shop and we sold Bob's Burgers. And then, so I grew up. I was like, this is the show about me. Like I don't know why somebody made this about my life, but it's funny anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love Linda. She's hilarious, and she's so loving to her children and welcoming of anything that they do. Like she's never one to judge. And there's this one episode, it's her birthday and she ended up having to like wear a diaper and she gets lost and she just looks like a total disaster by the time she gets home. But she has such a positive attitude. So I love that about her. Okay. She's a lot of fun.
Cool. So what would you say is a game that you'd probably say that you're probably most embarrassed to tell your friends about that you play?
Okay, so there is this, I don't know if you'd consider this a game.
Sure.
And I told my friends about it. They know. This is no longer a secret.
So you've already exposed it.
I have, yes. It's the quarters game. I don't know if you've seen it. Sometimes they're at casinos, but sometimes they're at like Dave & Buster's.
You're talking about the ones that drop down and like there's a bunch of quarters at the bottom? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that game.
Okay, that's funny. There's an actual game on computer. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to send that information for you. But it's literally like a virtual, like not virtual, but it's a game where you go into like a game shop and you can play that game. Amazing. Like that's one of the many games you can play.
Yes, that is one game that I seek out anywhere we go. And we went on a cruise and I played quarters at their little casino. I went to bed and I apparently in the middle of my sleep was pushing quarters into my husband's forehead. Yeah.
That's perfect. He's like, what are you doing? Like, what is...
He loves that story.
Oh my God. Okay, so the next one is if you could eat any meal anywhere in the world, what and where would that be?
That's a good question because I love traveling and I love eating the local fare.
Not
yes.
really probably hard. Right?
I mean, it is hard. I'm like, cheese. Cheese is always a good one. It's one of my favorites. So I'm from Milwaukee, so I gotta love that. But my favorite meal is pika, and it's from Croatia.
Okay.
And you can make it a couple of different ways, but my favorite is with fish. So it's so simple.
Okay.
It's fish, potatoes, white wine, and garlic and maybe some other spices, and it's made in a brick oven.
Oh wow! How do you spell that? Is that P-I-K-A or
P-E-K-A?
P-E-K-A.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll have to look it
It's
up.
delicious.
Sweet. I'm a fan of garlic, and so is my wife. So like that's you
a good
piqued
one.
my interest with the garlic. She would love the fish, and that seems like a good thing.
They also have octopus or chicken, but I'm a fish person.
I gotcha. Cool. So what game would you say that you've played that didn't get a fair shake or just kind of went unnoticed? That was when it was released. What game would you say would that be?
Yeah, so that one's a hard one for me because I only play games based on recommendations from other people, and I don't play a lot of games. I play a few games a lot. If that makes sense.
No, I hear you. I mean, there are definitely games in my library that I have like thousands of hours in.
Yes.
It's like I just can't.
Yeah, so Animal Crossing had like 450 hours. I'm like, other people have like 200. They're like, it's so much. I'm like, no, I gotcha. So that one's a hard one to pick out any one specific game, but I will say just in general, indie VR games are so underrated, and it's difficult. Like if you are not Beat Saber or Super Hot or Job Sim, you're not getting noticed, which is just so unfortunate. There's so many other games out there. There's one in particular that I love, which is called Cookout.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Overcooked if you've ever played that, where you play with multiple people and you're going towards a common goal and you're making sandwiches.
Oh man, I couldn't play that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I lost my mind in Job Simulator
Yeah.
because of the fact it triggered my previous life of like working in the service industry.
Yes.
And I was literally at the end was like throwing hot dogs at the guests and throwing drinks.
Yeah.
I was over it. And like I had to take the headset off. My brother was just like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "All right, we're
customers are rude."
Yeah, I was like, it just triggered something. So I don't know if I can play that one, but no,
it's
totally
a lot
get
of fun.
Yeah.
That one's a lot of fun, and I feel like not enough people give it a shot. 'Cause I'm like, this one's like, it gets your heart racing, but it's fun and kind of goofy, and you can spray ketchup all over the place.
Yeah, that would be me. I would be So
like
and that's a good
one.
point though, because like right now, since VR is starting to get into the hands of a lot of people, there's a lot of games like previously something out like 8 years ago, right? That have been made that a lot of people are going to miss, and that is a thing that, and unfortunately, but that's kind of what helped everybody grow. So, but yeah, that is true. There's a lot of games you're going to miss. That's pretty good. And the last question I have for you is, if you could give credit to one person or an experience to kind of help shape to where you're at today. Who or what would that be?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I used to go over to my friend Allison's house all the time, and it's like, there's a meme right now that's like, imagine it's 1999, you wake up, you get in a Hot Pocket in the oven or whatever. So we used to do pizza rolls in the oven. We used to do Sprite.
I still do pizza rolls.
Yeah, I know. It's like, they're amazing. I was thinking about this, and I'm like, you know what? That sounds really awesome. I would love to do that. So we'd have sleepovers like every weekend, and we'd play N64. We'd play Mario Party 2. I don't know why 2. That was just the cartridge that both of us had. So we'd play that every single weekend till
you have still the scar in the middle of your finger.
Yes, it burns right there. That, and then this finger from the A button. Yes. So playing games, together with her at sleepovers is just like something that is part of my childhood, and I absolutely love those sorts of games, like those party type of games where you have mini games that you can, you lose at some, you win some, but overall, you could win or lose, whatever.
Right.
That was just a really special time in my life, and I think that's made me love certain games because of it.
Well, awesome. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. So tell me, how can we find out more about Amebous games or, Loam?
Yeah, so you can find Loam Sandbox at MetaQuest App Store by typing in Loam Sandbox, or you can go to ameboslabs.com or follow us at Loam Game on social media.
Awesome. Well, again, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Amy. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been another SASS Interviews, so thank you guys for watching us today. And until next time, we'll see you later. Take care.